In our lives, we all go through moments of pain and disappointment, whether it's from a harsh word from someone close, an unexpected betrayal by a friend, or the disillusionment caused by someone we trusted deeply. These situations can hurt us deeply, leaving scars on our hearts that can last a lifetime. The pain accumulates, and if we don't know how to deal with it, it can consume us. The big question is, how can we overcome this pain in a way that transforms us, liberates us, and allows us to move forward? Listen to this inspiring story and discover how forgiveness can be the key to a fulfilling and healing life. Clara was always a radiant woman. She had a joy that spread to everyone around her and an extraordinary ability to see the good in things, even in the most difficult situations. Clara was the kind of person who gave herself completely to the people she loved, always willing to welcome, help, and support. Her heart was immense, and everyone who knew her felt fortunate to have her nearby. Clara lived life with intensity, seized every moment, and made it a point to show people that life, despite its difficulties, was a gift that should be valued. However, as often happens, destiny played a trick on Clara. One day, during a routine checkup, she received news that would shake her entire life. She was diagnosed with cancer. The news hit her like a blow, a storm that swept away all the joy and optimism that had always characterized her personality. In an instant, Clara found herself immersed in a whirlwind of emotions: fear, insecurity, sadness. Cancer brought with it uncertainties about the future and about the plans Clara had always dreamed of achieving. Determined not to let herself be defeated, Clara decided to face the illness with the same strength and determination she had always demonstrated in her life. She began treatment, diving headfirst into chemotherapy sessions and keeping the faith that, with struggle and courage, she could overcome this challenge. However, what Clara did not expect was that, in the midst of her battle, she would face a second trial, even more painful than the first. Her husband, the one who had promised to be by her side in sickness and in health, could not handle the pressure of the situation. He, whom Clara believed to be her life partner, turned his back at the moment she needed him most. The man who was supposed to be her anchor, her source of support in the most difficult days, abandoned her, unable to deal with the gravity of the situation. Her husband's betrayal was a devastating blow for Clara. It wasn't just the physical abandonment that destroyed her, but the emotional loss of someone she had trusted blindly. The shock of being left alone in the most vulnerable period of her life was immense. Clara, who was already weakened by the disease, now had to deal with the emotional pain of a betrayal that completely disoriented her. She felt lost, betrayed, and deeply hurt. The physical pain caused by cancer, which was already intense, now seemed to be amplified by the emotional pain. Clara wondered how someone she had loved so much could abandon her when she needed support and care the most. The treatment sessions, which had previously been faced with hope, now became more difficult each day. The weight of loneliness and hurt seemed to crush her, making her battle even harder. As the days passed, Clara began to lose the will to keep fighting. She, who had always been so strong and resilient, now felt completely defeated. The pain of abandonment was so great that she began to question whether it was worth continuing the treatment. The idea of giving up started to seem like an increasingly attractive solution. Every day, fighting cancer was overshadowed by the constant reminder that, at her most vulnerable moment, she had been abandoned by the one who promised to stand by her side. It was then, in one of the darkest days of her life, that Clara met Lucas. He was another patient attending the same treatment center, and his story was as painful as Clara's. Lucas had also been abandoned, but in an even crueler way. His entire family left him when he was diagnosed with cancer. The rejection was crushing, and Lucas found himself completely alone to face his battle. Yet, despite everything, Lucas carried within him an inner strength that Clara quickly noticed. There was something in his eyes, a calmness, a peace that intrigued her. They began talking, and Clara soon discovered that Lucas had gone through a deep transformation. At the beginning of his journey, he too had drowned in hurt and resentment. However, he found an escape that few manage to see in moments of such suffering: forgiveness. Lucas explained to Clara that instead of feeding the anger and resentment toward those who abandoned him, he made a conscious choice to forgive. He understood that hurt and resentment only increased his suffering and hindered his healing. Holding on to bitterness was like carrying a weight that pulled him down further. Forgiveness, on the other hand, brought him a lightness and peace he had never experienced before. Lucas's words touched Clara deeply. She had never thought of forgiveness as a tool for her own healing. Until that moment, she believed that forgiving meant absolving the other person of their mistakes. But Lucas showed her that forgiveness was not for the other person, but for herself. By forgiving, Clara was not saying that what her husband did was right, but she was choosing not to let the hurt consume her. She was choosing to free herself from the emotional chains that tied her to the past, allowing herself to move forward and find peace. Gradually, Clara began to reflect on Lucas's words and apply them to her own life. She realized that the hurt she was carrying was preventing her from healing, both physically and emotionally. With each passing day, Clara felt a little lighter. She began to see life differently, with less bitterness and more compassion. Clara finally understood that forgiveness was the key to her liberation. She let go of the weight she carried in her heart, and with that, made space for new experiences and feelings to enter her life. Over time, the friendship between Clara and Lucas blossomed. They became inseparable companions, supporting each other through the tough days. Together, they faced the pain and fear, but they also discovered new reasons to smile and continue fighting. The friendship between them grew into something deeper, and soon the love they felt for each other became clear. Clara and Lucas, united by adversity, found in each other a reason to keep believing in love and life. They decided to get married in a simple ceremony, surrounded by friends who had supported them throughout the journey. Clara and Lucas's union was a celebration of true love, but also of the victory over the adversities they had faced together. And as a gift of renewal, Clara and Lucas were blessed with 2 children who brought indescribable joy into their lives. These children symbolized a fresh start, proof that life always offers new opportunities, even in the most difficult moments. Today, Clara and Lucas share their story with others facing similar challenges. They are ambassadors of forgiveness, teaching everyone that forgiveness is the first step toward true healing. As Ephesians 4:31-32 reminds us, get rid of all bitterness, rage, and anger. Be kind and compassionate to one another, forgiving each other, just as in Christ, God forgave you. Clara and Lucas are living proof that no matter how painful the hurt, forgiveness is the key to freedom. They teach us that forgiveness liberates us, heals us, and allows us to live with more lightness and joy. If this story touched your heart, share it with those you love. Leave your own experiences with forgiveness in the comments and subscribe to the channel for more inspiring stories. Don't forget to hit the notification bell so you won't miss any of our updates. Your engagement is essential for us to keep spreading messages of hope and love. Until our next encounter.